Welcome back, everyone. In today's video, I'm going to answer some questions that I get asked a lot. And I know even after today's video, I'm still going to continue to get asked those questions. And that is okay. I thoroughly enjoy helping other modelers. Now, before we get started with some questions, I do want to say that I feel that the layout is not even half done. Honestly, I'm not even at the halfway point because we have so many roads and sidewalks and scenery to do, and believe it or not, a lot more buildings. We have a whole nother level up here that has track that will go all the way around the layout. And on that level, we will have, again, roads, sidewalks, more buildings. So the entire thing is actually, or will be, a little taller because of that next level that gets built. All right, well, let me get comfortable and we will start to answer some questions. Okay, the most asked question is, where do I get my vehicles? Most of the vehicles on the layout are from Classic Metalworks. Now there's other companies, Jordan, which is no longer in business, but I do have a bunch of Jordan vehicles. Those are kits that you actually have to build. And many people probably don't want to build little vehicles. So again, most of the vehicles are from Classic Metalworks and they come completely done. You just take them out of the package and place them on the layout. Another question is your layout DCC? No, it is not. It is DC. I do have a couple engines, both diesel and steam, that have sound. They're a little harder to find, but you can. So the entire layout is DC. People ask to see a track plan, and really there is no track plan. I do have a drawing somewhere floating around. It's very simple. You know, it loops on this side, goes around, loops on this side, and the upper level will do the same. There are no switches on the layout. It's just two loops that are continuously running. Because really, my favorite part of the hobby is structure building and then doing scenery work. And I just enjoy sitting and watching the trains run through finished scenes. I absolutely love it. Another question is, do I put cork under my track? And the answer is no. The track is right on the base of the styrofoam. I do that because I want the track to be low. I don't want it to be raised up. I like having tall buildings around the track or close to the track so that you don't always see the train. And I feel like with how small my layout is, with having cork under the track, when vehicles are by it or figures are by it, it just looks like it's raised really tall. I know that it's prototypical, that a lot of, all the track in real life basically is raised, but I just don't like that look. So it's personal preference, really. People ask me about operating, and because I have no switches, there is no operating this layout. I have had people over to the house to see the layout, and I just turn it on and let the train run, and most of the time people are just looking at all of the detail, and that's what I want. I'm not interested in operating trains. I've been invited to other people's homes to do operating sessions, and it's just not that fun for me. I really just don't enjoy it. I spend most of the time looking at their layout and the buildings and all the little details. I get sidetracked and I'm supposed to be switching cars and I'm looking at all of the scenery work that they've done. So yeah, I'm not an operator. Another question I get asked a lot is about lighting. And there is no lighting on the layout, and there never will be. For the simple fact that I spend hours and hours detailing structures and scenery that I don't want to dim the lights and be looking at little lights in windows or on structures. I want the room to be fully lit, really bright, so that people that come over can really enjoy all of the detail that I've put into the layout. Now I know there is some great layouts that have fantastic lighting. It's just something that I really am not interested in for this layout. Now my sci-fi layout in the other room is the opposite. That has a lot of lighting because it's a home theater room. And it's cool to have all those little lights on while you're sitting in there watching a movie. Another question that I get asked over and over is about the weathering. Why is everything so heavily weathered and run down looking? Well, I feel like over the years I have developed a style that I really love. I want people to look at a photograph of a scene or a photograph of one of my models and say, Jason Jensen built that. They immediately recognize that it's my modeling. Now, people say, well, why don't you have one building that is new or under construction? And honestly, I feel like if there was a new building on the layout or one that was under construction, people would ask me, why is that not finished? I feel like it would stick out like a sore thumb. So I keep everything kind of consistent with the weathering. And I grew up in Iowa, and the town I grew up in was very small. A nice town, beautiful. I lived in a nice house in a nice neighborhood. There was a southern part of the town, which was on the other side of the tracks, which was pretty poor. And everything was run down. There was no money. They didn't have any new buildings, or there was nothing under construction. It was very old. You know, even the part of the town where I lived, it was just old. Interesting fact that I'll never forget, at one time, the town I grew up in had streetcars. And so all the roads were brick. Well, they did away with the streetcars, and they tore up all the rail, and they put a patch of concrete down the center of the roads. So the sides of the roads were brick and the center was concrete. So a lot of times cars would drive down the center of the road, but then when there was oncoming traffic, they would both switch over and you'd be on the brick bouncing up and down and shaking, and then you'd get back onto the concrete. Very, very interesting. But, you know, there's so many things on the layout that I saw in Iowa. For instance, I've had people ask me, why do you have workbenches outside or so much junk outside or alongside of a building? Well, growing up, I remember going through people's backyards on my bike and just seeing old cars, old motorcycles. There was little workbenches with tools, and that's just how things were. So a lot of things that you see are things that I remember from growing up in Iowa. So again, I just love weathering structures. It's my favorite part of the hobby. So everything on here will be extremely weathered. Even the engines and the rolling stock will all be heavily weathered. It will all have the same look and feel to it. And it's just my enjoyment from the hobby. So there's nothing wrong with people that do layouts that are modern, that look new, because that's the enjoyment they get from the hobby. So again, I just want everything to look really heavily worn and weathered, because that's truly how I love to model. I get a lot of people that ask me about unfinished parts of the layout. There'll be specific things. Why isn't the abutment under the bridge finished? Or why isn't there a gas tank under a pier that has a gas pump? There's so many little projects that need to be done. And trust me, I will get to all of them. I want this layout to be extremely detailed and have every little inch completely finished. But it's going to take a lot of time and a lot of years. But yes, I will get to everything. Even like I'd mentioned before about painting engines and rolling stock. It will all get painted and weathered. It just takes time, and especially now that I'm producing kits, it's going a little bit slower. But what's great is that all the kits that I'm producing are going on the layout somewhere. So I'm making some progress and producing kits at the same time. Real quick, I wanted to show you and talk about the upper level. So you can see track here. It will be connected, and there's a bridge here that will have track on it. Now all of this up here is land. So there will be streets and sidewalks and buildings. So this whole wall here will be covered in buildings. And then behind me, we go uphill, and the whole side of that hill will be covered in structures, and we'll even probably do some end scale structures up towards the top. Actually, all the corners of the layout will have end scale structures to make it look like they're further back in the distance. And don't worry, we'll have videos on all of that. All right, well, that's all we have for today. Thank you all so much for watching. I truly appreciate it. And if you have any more questions that I didn't answer today, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will try to answer them. Now, I answer questions on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, private messages, emails. There's so many questions. I tried to get to all of them. I really do, but it's difficult. So you may have to ask a question multiple times before it gets answered. But please, feel free to ask me any questions about modeling. All right, well, thank you all so much. And a huge thank you to all of my Patreons. You guys are the best. I truly appreciate you guys. All right, well, again, thank you for watching, and until next time, stay motivated and happy modeling, everyone.